Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Peggett, and in my presentation, we will be discussing the educational track that I've chosen and how this track is the right choice for my future career as an educator. All right. As to my future profession, after 7 weeks of researching future educational tracks, I believe the track that will guide me towards success as a future elementary school teacher is the Family and Human Development track. This track emphasizes working with children, families, and youth, and this is what I love to do most. Elementary education is just one of the many forms in which all three groups of people are directly impacted. Teachers teach children of multiple genders, cultures, religions, and ethnicities. It's a teacher's job to instill growth and development in the minds of young kids. Not only are they responsible for the kids, but they also work alongside staff to meet the requirements that parents have for the educational experience of their children. It's from maintaining good relations with parents that teachers receive a better insight into what is directly and indirectly impacting the lives of students. It's from these different perspectives that teachers are able to accommodate and inspire every student. It's from the family and human development track that I will share the most of my strengths, passions, and goals for creating meaningful relations with every young, talented individual who comes into my classroom. And as to personal strengths of mine, during Module 1 of this course, I had to complete a practical emotional intelligence self-assessment. It is from this assessment that I learned my 4 strengths are being empathetic, being motivational, having good self-management awareness, and having a personable personality. According to the Coaching Leaders handout, empathy is the ability to sense, understand, and respond to what other people are feeling. I believe that the profession of elementary teaching is the right profession for me because I have a caring and loving personality. All I want is to guide young minds towards a path that they are passionate about. I've also learned over the years that sometimes students don't need a teacher, they need a friend. My strength of being understanding and aware of other people's feelings is what will allow me to know how to best accommodate for my students' needs. So the question that everybody wonders is why pursue elementary education? My first motivation is that teachers are needed. Currently, there are many areas in the world that are experiencing serious teacher shortages. It's from these teacher shortages that many schools are struggling to provide quality education for students. One of these states happens to be Connecticut, which is the state that I live in. Currently, there are many schools in Waterbury that have adjusted their schedules to fall to half days in order to accommodate for both students and staff members. Unfortunately, we see this happening all over the world, such as in places like California, Arizona, and Colorado. I believe now is the time more than ever to pursue a profession in education. And aside from environmental motivations, what are my personal motivations? In the year 2020, I worked in an after-school program in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. This wasn't just a normal everyday after-school program. This program worked with students whose parents were homeless or a part of a drug gang. It's from this program that I discovered what really motivates me to pursue education. It's the aspect of getting to reach young minds and inspire them to dream and know that there's so much more to life than their current home situation. I want to engage that there is endless possibilities and opportunities in this world, and I believe every child has the right to make their own future. It's from this that I desire to make a change. I am motivated to make a difference in the lives of my future students. As to leaderships that I hope to implement in my profession. Elementary education is full of children who are in need of nurturing and guidance. The leadership skills of empathy will create an atmosphere that is directed towards my students and inspires passion. It's from empathy that I will coach my students on what they can do to improve. Having high empathy will also help me to find ways that encourage and motivate my students to do the best they can. It's from this that I hope to implement a mindset to always try no matter how hard something is. Another key skill that I will use is effective listening and communication. This brings about the capacity to listen and understand and feel in the midst of difficult situations. Listening to my students will help me to best advocate and meet their needs. It'll also allow my students to know that their voices matter. Out of all of these leadership skills, I believe the most important skill that I will use is having patience. Working with children is an adventure in itself. No day is the same and no child is the same. It's from this knowledge that having patience is what will bring perseverance on the days where I'm facing obstacles or hardships. And lastly, being authentic and making the day new will go a long way in my teaching career. It's by being creative and implementing the passion of my students that my class will always succeed in growing and learning together. As to the people who inspire me to pursue this profession, the first person that came immediately to mind is Malala Yousafzai. Her bravery for what she does, she's a Pakistan woman who stands up for education, and she actually almost died due to advocating for young women in Pakistan who don't have a right to free education. So her bravery and her passion and her dedication to serving others is what stood out most to me. Another person is Dory Gregory, who I interviewed within this course. Her servant style leadership, meaning she is always telling her students to try. She's always meeting her students' expectations, and she's always asking questions and making sure that her students feel comfortable. Those are things that I want to implement in my own classroom. And then last but not least, this is my aunt. Her name is Kathy Roberts. She works in many different demographic settings, tutoring and helping kids who are underprivileged. It's her love and passion that make me want to do the same. Empathy and advocating are both key components in the profession of being an elementary education teacher. I believe the three components of these revolve around being an active listener, cultivating passion, and building relations with every person. I plan to implement active listening by having my students tell me what they like or didn't like learning every week. For cultivating passion, I plan on having my students do an act of kindness for someone they are assigned to every week. This will teach my students that it's important to respect one another and treat others the way they want to be treated. And then lastly, for building connections, I plan on having my students write down something new they learned from one of their classmates each week. It's from these plans that I believe my students will learn to have empathy towards one another, along with advocate for their fellow classmates. In return, I will learn a great amount from doing the same. Another way that I will do this in my lessons is having my students read about the world. It's from this that I believe new discussions will arise about creating empathy and advocating beyond the classroom. And then as to noble goals, one quote that has gone with me a long ways is the quote by Samuel Johnson. It states, "Great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance." It's from the times of trial that we learn and develop into the visions that we have always wanted to be. One noble goal I have as I continue down the track of family and human development is to always embrace every opportunity. It's developing an open mind that will allow me to stay positive and to bring positivity into my future professions. And as to my second noble goal, it's to never give up on myself. In other words, keep persevering and keep trying. In the end, I will be learning new ways to continually better myself. Each one of these noble goals will lead me to always striving to become the best teacher and servant I can be to my future students. And here is my works cited. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for this course. I learned a great amount of information that is going to be so helpful in the career path that I am going. And just thank you so much for all your hard work. Thank you.